Hi everyone and welcome back to A Doodle a Day with Mrs. Rivera. Today we're going to draw something that I know my students really enjoy creating, which is robots. Now the cool thing about robots is it's made up of all sorts of shapes that you already know how to use. Rectangles, circles, ovals, triangles, squares. You're just going to put them together to create a really cool robot. So let's get started. I'm going to draw right in the middle and I want my robot to have kind of a rectangular rounded body. So I'm going to get that rectangular body right here. And I said rounded because I don't want straight edges. I want my robot to have rounded edges on that rectangle like so. Okay? And this is going to be the panel for my robot, like where all the buttons, the access panel is going to be. So I'm going to start with this. And I want my robot head to be up here, but before we do, we have to add something that's going to support the head. So we have to draw what will look like a neck, okay? Like so. And I want the top to be a rectangle too, but it's going to be a lot smaller than the one here. And just like the rounded edges I did on my body, I want to have rounded edges on the head of my robot too. I'm going to do that, and now I'm going to connect the top like so. All right, very cool. Now the neck is going to be something that should be able to move, so I'm going to make it, I'm going to put some striping in here like this so that it looks like it's able to move around if my robot needed to kind of adjust its head, right? And I want my robot eyes to be round because I don't want to have square. I want my robot eyes to be rounded like that. And inside those circles, I'm going to make a bigger circle that I'm going to color in. And I'm going to do that because I want my robot to be able to adjust its sight to where it is. If it's outside, it could adjust its eyes. So I'm going to be, as I'm designing my robot, I'm going to think about what are the different functions that I want my robot to have. Okay, now I always really like those robots that have little antennas. So I'm going to put little antennas on my robot. Maybe that's how my robot's going to get Wi-Fi. So I'm going to draw the two little lines, and on the top I'm going to draw a little oval that gets the reception from the Wi-Fi. Okay. Now the way that this looks so far, it almost looks like the neck is the mouth of my robot, but it really isn't. It's just going to be the neck. For the mouth, I'm going to make a tiny, teeny rectangle. And this is going to be a tiny, teeny, skinny rectangle like this. Okay? And inside that rectangle, I'm going to make little lines so that it looks almost like my robot has teeth. And if I were coloring it in, I would probably change the color of the inside of those little baby rectangles. All right, so we have antennas because I want my robot to be able to get some Wi-Fi through there. Eyes that adjust, a mouth that will glow, a neck that will allow my robot's head to move. Now in here, what I want to do with my robot is I want to create an access panel. Now an access panel is a panel that will allow you to go in case something's acting up with your robot, you're able to go in. And again, we're going to do those rounded edge rectangles. And I'm going to create a little doorknob, probably right here, so that I'm able to open that. And I'm going to make it like this, almost like I was doing a letter C. Okay? And I'm going to double that up so it really looks like a handle. Like that. So you're drawing a big letter C and then a little letter C inside it so that it mimics a handle. And then you're going to close it up like that. Okay? Now I think over here what I'm going to do is put some buttons on my robot so that I'm able to really adjust. I'm going to make some of those buttons round. I'm going to make some of them square shaped. I'm going to do maybe 6 buttons, right? 6 different functions for my robot. And I think the one that I'm going to do here, I'm going to make that one look like a rectangle. Okay, and I'm gonna do one more round. So I'm actually gonna do 5 buttons, right? My robot is actually gonna be a cleaning robot, and if you're a mommy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this robot, I'm gonna be able to press a button and it vacuums. Another one, it sweeps. Another one, it picks up all the Lego pieces. So I have my buttons in place here. Now down here, I wanna create what looks almost like a gauge. Right? I'm gonna make it like this. It's gonna be like a pressure gauge to make sure that my robot doesn't overheat as it's doing all this cleaning. So I'm gonna do a circle with a baby circle. And I'm gonna do another little baby circle here so that it looks like there's metal around this glass that's gonna hold it. And it almost looks like a clock when you do a gauge, right? Because it has all these little lines in it. And I'm gonna make those lines now. Like this. Okay? And I'm gonna color this part here because I don't like how it looks. I think some of my lines look thick and thin. So I'm gonna adjust this like this. Plus it creates a nice balance with the dark eyes on top. So I'm gonna do that. Like that. It creates like that pressure gauge. And now I'm gonna create hands on those. I'm gonna color in the little black, the little baby one in there too. And I'm gonna make this almost look like a clock. I'm gonna draw one hand here and another hand here. You're not gonna really be able to see it because it almost looks like it's filling in. There you go. I'm gonna adjust it so I have my gauge, I got my buttons, I got my little access panel. I'm even gonna create another little rectangle here so it looks like, so it gives me like information about something that's going on in my access panel. Now, because my robot is going to be moving around, I don't want my robot to have regular legs. I think I'm going to make my robot have a spring for a body. So, meaning for legs, excuse me. So that it looks like it's like bouncy, right? So that it can go boing, boing, boing and move around quickly without being bulky or kind of doing that. So how do you make a spring? Well, it's almost like we're making L shapes all the way down, like a cursive L. So I'm going to start here. And I'm going to go like this. It's almost like I'm making the letter L in cursive writing. Except I'm going to keep going like this. And then what happens is it gives you that illusion of a spring. It makes it go boing, boing, boing. Now I'm going to attach that to something that all like this. Let's create this shape like that. And I'm going to close it up. And it's attached to that because I want to be able to attach wheels to my robot so my robot can move around and do a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to do that. And in order to give my robot some sort of dimension and depth, I'm going to do a second one. And on this one, just like that, we're going to do those hatching lines, those lines that go straight. And I'm going to do that so that my robot really looks like it has personality. And remember, all these little details is what really gives your robot, you know, that feel of motion and movement, okay? And we still have to make arms. Now, we have our base for where we're going to attach our wheels. I think I'm going to do 3 wheels. So instead of just doing circles, which you can do, I'm going to do semicircles because I want those wheels really to look like they're attached to the base. So I'm going to draw them first on the edges like this so that I know exactly where to put my third wheel in the middle so that it makes sense, because if I did them just 1, 2, 3, maybe this one would be too far away and I don't want that. I really want it to look symmetrical because if your wheel is not in the right place, your robot's gonna fall. So now that we have our wheel, let's put the details inside the wheels, right? All those grommets and all those little details in there, the bolts that hold it in. Let's do another one in here. It almost looks like we're drawing eyes. Like that, okay? Now you see this little tiny one in here? I want to make those little lines in there to really give it a little bit more detail, okay? Like so. And inside this outer wheel, I'm gonna color that solid black because most of the time wheels are black because it just is. So I'm gonna color mine black. You don't have to. Maybe you like the way that it looks when it's white, or maybe you wanna make your wheels a different color for your robot, and that's okay. I'm gonna make mine black because I want it to really have a wheel feel to it. Okay, that looks good. Perfect. Good. Now that we have our base here, we have all these details here. That looks pretty cool. I'm feeling it. I'm happy with it. Okay. Now we have our details here. Good. Now what are we missing? Arms, right? If you want your robot to be able to use arms or to grab at things, well, it needs to have some sort of arms. So I'm going to draw arms. I'm going to start them at about here. And it's just gonna be like this. Ooh, yep. And I want this one to have just about the same amount of thickness here. And then we're gonna try to keep that parallel, right? So that it makes sense. Now these arms look really long, and there's a reason for it. I want my robot to be able to reach far. Okay, so let's close it up here. Over here, I don't want this to just be a piece attached. So we really have to make it look like it's attached to something. So let's make these pieces here so that it looks like it's really almost like a hose on a vacuum cleaner, that it's really attaching to something here. Okay, so let's do that. Now when you think of robots, in order for them to move, right, or a hose, it always has those lines that goes all the way down. But because I have this here, I want to make them thicker than this so it doesn't look like it's just a continuation of that. So I'm going to make my lines really, really thick so I can really see the difference like that. Okay, now that we have this one, I'm gonna finish my robot's hand. I want it to have like a claw. I don't want it to be a regular hand, so I'm gonna do it like this, almost like you're making parentheses that you're attaching. And then you're gonna go up and you're gonna repeat that same step like that. All right, so it looks like a pincher, right? That your robot is able to extend its arm and pinch into things. Now let's do the other arm here. Let's pay attention that we're close to the same height on both sides so it doesn't look funny. All right, let's make that attachment where our robot's hand's gonna be. And now let's keep going over here. Ooh, like so, almost the same height. It's okay if it's a little longer. I'm actually gonna make this one slightly different than this. I'm not gonna make that one have a claw. Okay, and close it, and then let's get these little lines in, right? So you could tell that that hose is something that can move. Like so. Now, I told you my robot's gonna be a cleaning robot. So instead of a claw, I think I'm gonna add, maybe I'll add like a brush, some sort of a rotating brush, something that can clean the couches. So let's extend it here and let's connect like that. Okay, now if you don't want a brush, you can leave it just like that, right? And it could just be like a hand that moves and presses things. But I'm gonna make mine a brush because, like I told you, this is gonna be my cleaning robot. So I'm gonna go like this so that it really looks like it's gonna clean. Okay, I have that there. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the claw. I think I'm gonna color these into a pattern so that it gives it a very cool kind of feel. And because this is gonna be the attachment, I'm gonna start with this one. And I don't even have to color it in solid. I could just use those cross hatching lines. And you know what, let's just make it solid. Let's make a pattern, so solid, white, solid, white, solid, skip one, solid. I'm not gonna make the claws out. Let's do the same thing on this side. Remember, I want the attachment part to be different than the hose, so I'm gonna start with the shape after that, just like this one. Solid, white, solid. And if you don't want to make these solid, you can make a pattern when you're coloring them in, so your robot has a color pattern instead. Okay, and then I'll do this, right? And then our robot has its attachments in place. Perfect. If you want, you could even do that with the neck. I think that would look cool. I'm gonna do that with the neck because I think that would look cool. Makes the robot have really a uniform feeling. So let's color in solid white, solid, perfect. Now we really have that cool vibe going on. Okay, so we have that. Let's see, what else would our robot need to be finished? Well, robots have a lot of little bolts, so I think I'm going to add some of the bolts to it so it really has a metallic feel to it, like little screws. And if you've ever seen a screw inside, it either has a line or an X, right? I'm going to just do the one line because my screws are so tiny. And the reason they have a line or an X is because it's either a flathead screwdriver or a Phillips screwdriver that opens it up. Now I like my door. I think I need to add like a reinforcement to this to really show that this door can open. So I'm going to go like this all the way around to really give it that detail that this is a panel that can open. I'm going to even, I know I have antennas here, but I like when the robots have those ear pieces here. So I'm going to go like this, a little semicircle like that. I'm going to repeat that on this side, semicircle like that, right? And I'm going to make that because I want my robot to listen to me when I ask it to go clean stuff, right? Sometimes your mom calls you and you're like, la la la, I pretend I didn't hear her. I want my robot to be able to hear me, so I'm going to add those in. Okay, and then I'm even going to add like a little detail in there like that, so it really has a cool, it's not just like a bubble. I want it to have like a cool vibe. Maybe my robot plays music through there, right? Like doom, 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 jams out. All right, I like that, but I think we should color this one in solid black. And the reason for it is to really balance out. Remember, we're always talking about balance. You always hear me say that word, and that just means so that your robot, when you're adding all these little details, that it balances out your picture, that you have the same amount of solid colored areas throughout the image, so that it doesn't just look like you decided to do it in some places and you kind of forgot all about it in other places. So here's my robot. Now, if I'm going to add my action lines, let's think about where would the robot be moving. So the wheels would be in motion, right? So let's ground it first. And the grounding lines are so that the robot is actually on something, not just floating on your paper, but actually in motion somewhere. So let's ground it. I don't like how that one looked. Doubling it up. Grounding my robot so it's in a space. Good. There's your floor. And it's in motion. Good. Now that it's grounded, where would my movement be? Well, I would say that if my robot is coming from this way, then my action lines would need to be over here, right? Because he's moving down that way. The other part that I want to put some action lines is, I think here, because if it was moving, it would kind of be like oink, 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 oink. So I'm going to create action lines that are actually like this, right? So it looks like it's doink, 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 right? I like that. And because I want the ears to have, like, could be like the music, I'm going to make it like this. Do that. So it looks like doom, 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 like that sound, the vibration is coming out. Now this looks empty to me, so I think I want to add another one of these gauges, except I'm going to do a half a circle here. Like this. And we're going to just do the type of gauge that has a little needle like that, and a big one. All right, so now it looked empty to me, so I wanted to add a little something there. All right, so we have our action lines, our robot is colored in. The only thing missing is your signature. I'm gonna put my initials down here. And of course the number 20 for the year, right? It's 2020. And there you have it. I can't wait to see some of your robots, and I can't wait to see how you change some of them up, because I know you all have really great ideas. So this is my cleaning robot. As you're designing it, think about what you want your robot to be able to do. Can't wait to see yours. Until next time.